It's February and that means Valentine's Day. So I'd like to introduce Hastings to one of Hastings' eligible bachelors. That's right, this month I'm gonna be cooking with my friend Tony. Are you excited, Tony?
I am more than excited.
Are you excited to make a meal for a lovely lady?
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh, we're gonna have so much fun, so let's get started. So for our first recipe, we're gonna make some delicious homemade-esque bread.
Oh, nice.
So it's gonna look like you spent all this time and energy making a beautiful loaf of bread when really we bought some bread and fancied it up.
Fair enough.
So the first thing we need to do is you have to open this jar of salsa.
Okay. Why would we need salsa there,
It's
Sarah?
a key part to making... Oh, see, ladies, he's really strong. He can open jars for you. Okay, now you put the lid back on.
Okay.
There you go.
So we're not using the salsa?
No, we're just proving how strong you are, so
Oh.
you're a desirable mate. All right, so
Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. So now what we're actually gonna do is we're gonna make our bread. So in order to do that, we're gonna start by making a flavored butter.
Okay.
So we have some butter, and to it, we're just simply gonna add parsley because it's gonna add just a hint of kind of an earthy flavor that's gonna make the bread nice.
Okay.
So have you ever chopped parsley before?
Can't say that I have.
Okay, so it's super simple.
Okay.
All we need to do is kind of take the fluffy part and we're just gonna pull that off and we're gonna
Right.
make a nice little pile, just like that. So if you wanna grab some and add to your
Okay.
nice little pile, because what we want is maybe like a fist-sized pile that we're gonna chop
This
through.
size pile, all right.
Because what we're gonna do is we're gonna chop it all up and then we're gonna have about a tablespoon that we're mixing in once we get it all nice and chopped.
Okay.
And so you should be pretty good now, so we'll shift this
Okay.
out of your way. This is actually for chopping tomatoes, but has a really nice serrated blade. So what I like to do is I'll take all my leaves and I'll do a gentle twist and it'll hold it together. And I just simply run it through, just
Oh,
like
sure.
that, okay? And so when
Okay.
you're cutting, I'm assuming you've used a knife before, but
I
you're
have
gonna,
used a knife before.
but you're gonna wanna obviously watch your fingers.
Okay.
So you're just gonna cut it up into those nice little pieces, just like that. There you go. You are well on your way to making any herb flavored butter. Now
Wow.
you know the tips and the tricks. It's tricky to get really finely chopped up pieces of that parsley.
Okay.
So what I'm gonna do is kind of find the nice small pieces and I'm just gonna start by sprinkling it over 3 tablespoons of butter like this.
Okay.
You wanna make sure that your butter is nicely softened.
Sure. How would I soften the butter?
So all you need to do is take it out of your refrigerator for about an hour or so and leave it on your table.
Okay.
And kind of how I ration it out is if I have 3 tablespoons of butter, then I have 1 tablespoon of whatever my herb flavoring is.
Sure.
Unless you're doing something more intense like a dried garlic. If you were gonna make a garlic butter, you'd wanna go with about 1/2 of a tablespoon. Otherwise,
Alright.
it's like garlic butter. It would be delicious in this recipe, but it's a date night recipe, so you probably don't wanna garlic
Sure.
up your mouth
I got
for
it.
that one. So you can see it now, it's combined together and you have those little green flecks that are running through and
Sure.
we've got a nice flavored butter here. And so I have just a round loaf of sourdough bread and what
Okay.
we're gonna do is we're gonna cross hatch it. So
Alright.
it sounds really fancy,
It does sound really fancy.
but it's not that fancy.
Okay.
So when we do this, we don't want to cut all the way through the bread, but
Sure.
we want to get close to the bottom. So what I'm
Right.
going to do is I'm going to cut a slice and I'm going to have it go down pretty far into the loaf. And then I'm going to move my blade over about another inch or so and I'm going to make slices going this way.
All right.
So, Tony, have you lived in Hastings your entire life?
I have lived in Hastings my
Oh
entire
my
life.
gosh, isn't it a nice place to live?
Yeah, it's not too bad, and I enjoy it for the most part.
Yeah. So when you are not cooking lovely meals for ladies, what are you doing?
I play tennis.
Yep. You take your doggy for walks?
I do. I have a dog. I have a German Shepherd. It's a
Gotcha.
pretty nice dog.
Nice.
Do things with him.
Gotcha. So now to make our crosshatch, we're just gonna rotate the bread a quarter turn, and now we're gonna cut in the other direction like
Okay.
this. So, you wanna give it a try?
Sure, I'd
And you
love
can
to.
turn the bread how you see fit to make your crosshatch happen.
Okay.
And so do you work in Hastings?
I actually work in St. Paul Park.
Gotcha. And what kind of profession are you in?
I work at the oil refinery there.
Got it. So you're a hard-working, dependable man.
Yes.
And then also, I believe you've done some work with the fire department in Hastings. Is that true too?
Yeah,
You used to work there?
I did work on the Hastings Fire Department for about 5 years.
Gotcha. So you're also good at saving people.
I have accomplished that once or twice, maybe.
Yep. And then along with that, you have EMT training too.
True.
Gotcha. So see, you are a catch, my friend. Tennis, a dog, you can save lives. You know information about oil.
That's true. Who doesn't want to know information about oil?
Everybody wants to know fun facts about oil.
That's true.
Oh, then you'll really like, because in a little bit we're going to do a recipe with olive oil.
Oh, really?
It's right up your alley. Oh my goodness. So now what we're going to do is we're going to use this flavored butter.
Okay.
And we're going to grab little bits and pieces. And this is the part that's going to take a little bit of time, but we're actually going to tuck it in and kind of go in between these pieces.
So we're going to butter it.
Yeah. So basically, we're hiding all of this really delicious flavoring inside of the bread.
Okay.
And so what I like to do is kind of like my system, I should say, is I start going only one direction. If you kind of hop all over the place, it gets kind of confusing.
Sure.
And so it's just gentle amounts. It's okay if parts stick over the top. And another thing you can do too is if you pop your hand in there, you can also spread it apart. But I didn't want to surprise you with the intensity of this event too soon. So, you want to give it a go?
Sure.
You can put some in?
All right, let's have at it.
So Tony, when it comes to cooking, what kind of cooking stuff are you into? See, we want the ladies to learn about you.
Well, I can do a little bit of Crockpot cooking.
Okay.
I'm pretty good at making eggs, things like that. I like making breakfast foods.
Gotcha. So she can sleep in and you'll make food for her?
Oh. Sure. But I can make a pretty mean frozen pizza as well.
Do you ever do any desserts, or you stick to the kind of the main course thing?
You know, I'm not really much of a baker.
Gotcha.
So
I should have built in some sort of easy dessert for you to throw into your repertoire.
that would have been nice, but
no, I let
see
you
how it is.
down.
You let me down once again.
I was gonna say, I've only known you for 20 years.
Yeah, somewhere probably in there.
Yeah, probably so. So now we've got all of our nooks and crannies. And so now we are going to take this and now we're going to coat the top, because like I said at the beginning, we've got some Parmesan cheese that we're going to put on there. And then this is going to act as our binding agent that's going to hold it all together.
Oh, okay.
So we actually are going to sneak and we're going to put some mozzarella in.
Oh.
Mozzarella, you know, like your frozen pizza cheese.
Perfect.
And so with this mozzarella cheese, it has a much milder flavor. And so what it's gonna do is it's going to give us all of that cheesy texture that people like.
Okay.
And then Parmesan cheese, with it being not so mild of a flavor, it's gonna give us kind of that little bit of a kick. So we have 1 cup of mozzarella cheese.
Okay.
So basically, if we each wanna sprinkle a half, it's okay if we have some drip over.
Over our halves? So
Yeah.
we're not going to put a line down the center, that's what you're saying?
No,
All right.
it's okay, we'll share.
All right, I can handle that.
So now we're gonna come in with our Parmesan cheese and we're gonna
Alright.
sprinkle that on top of our mozzarella cheese. And it's one of those things where what I did is I grated our Parmesan cheese, but if you have, like in true Bachelor fashion, if you have one of those sprinkle cans for like spaghetti,
perfect.
you could use the same thing and it would go just fine.
Sure.
I have a pan,
Ooh.
and all we're gonna simply do is, because this bread's already baked, we don't have to run the risk of it sticking to the pan.
Sure.
We'll have some cheese probably squidge over the edge, but it's not the end of the world. That'll be an
Alright.
easy cleanup. And then what we're gonna do is we're going to tent this with foil. I have a piece of foil.
Okay.
There's a shiny side and there's a not so shiny side. It really doesn't matter which side you use, but I like literally take my hand and make a tent and you lay it over the top, just like that.
Wow.
It's nothing any fancier
So no
than
stakes or anything?
that. No,
Put it
you don't have
outside.
to any posts or anything weatherproofing or anything like that.
Cool.
So I've got it tented like that, and what's gonna happen is we're gonna put it in a 350-degree oven for
Alright.
15 minutes, and that will warm everything up and melt it all together.
Sure.
And then to get kind of that bubbly, crispy top, we're gonna peel the foil off and cook it for another 5 minutes.
Okay.
So we'll put it in the oven and we'll have some fantastic bread to start our meal.
Perfect.
So we have some delicious bread already made, and now it's time for our side dish. So, do you like potatoes?
I love potatoes,
Oh
Sarah.
my
They're
gosh.
delicious.
Then this will be perfect for your next date night. So,
Perfect.
we are gonna make some cheesy baked potatoes. You cook them up in the oven. It's gonna be delicious.
All right.
So
cool.
the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get our pan ready. So I'm just gonna put a little bit of olive oil here and there on the pan.
Okay.
And then if you're making it for date night, you're gonna need 2 potatoes, and all we need to do is slice these lengthwise, but we need to be smart about it and not cut our fingers open, because that would be bad. But you have EMT training, I believe.
I do.
So you can save my life.
Okay.
See? You are a desirable bachelor, Tony. Yes. So we're just gonna half the potatoes, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna dip my fingers in my olive oil. I'm gonna rub it on the insides of the potatoes. Just like that. Pretty gosh darn easy.
Looks pretty easy.
I think you can handle this.
I hope so. I can.
We've got a lot of problems. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab my salt and my pepper.
Okay.
And I'm just going to put it over the top. And I'm gonna crack it a little bit here. Have you ever used a fancy one like this?
I have not used a fancy one like this.
Oh my gosh.
I am stoked.
You can
looks so much fun.
Cross it off your bucket list.
Perfect.
So then we're just gonna grab it and just kind of smear it in the oil and spread them out on the pan, just like this. And I'll make a row right up here and right up here. And I'll let you start slicing and dicing your potatoes.
All right.
And while you're doing that, I'm just gonna take my fingers again and I'm just gonna rub some oil on the top of the potatoes. Got any guesses why I'm doing that? Let's test your food knowledge.
Ooh, oil on the top of the potatoes. I have no idea.
So basically what that's gonna do is it's gonna crisp it up in the oven, and we're gonna get some really delicious flavor on there from that crispy texture. So I'll give you that. And then right over the top, I'm just gonna crack again with my salt. I'll pass that over for you when you're ready.
Ooh.
And I'm gonna come through with some pepper. Oh my gosh, those are beautiful slices.
Why, thank you, Sarah.
You're doing a really nice job.
I actually practiced for hours before this.
Oh good, so that knife cheat sheet I sent you before we filmed tonight did great.
It did well.
Yeah.
I'm glad you sent it.
I'm so happy. Oh, good job, you've got it.
Got it. It's a little slippery with the olive oil all over here now, though.
I gave you a towel for your hands, but
did.
you're being a man. You're
I
being
guess.
you're being
that
strong.
was probably not the smartest idea.
That's all right. We
We
can
might
wash
need that
it.
later.
Oh yeah, that's right. True. We'll just kind of de-goop.
All right.
You got it. So you're gonna want to buy a set of these for yourself now.
Oh, this is way more fun than normal pepper.
And then that olive oil will help too, so it won't stick into your pan when you're cooking in the oven, because what we're gonna do is after we get the tops decorated of yours, I'm gonna pop it into a 350-degree oven. Then they'll bake for 20 to 30 minutes, and then we'll take them out and cheesify them, because I said these are cheesy oven potatoes.
Perfect.
So this is gonna be delicious. I can tell already. You're a master at potatoes.
Well, that's all right. That's good.
All right, so
There
like
we
I
go.
said, 350-degree oven for 20 to 30 minutes, depending on your oven, and then we'll see what we do next. Our potatoes are out of the oven, obviously, because they're back on the table, and they're cooked, and they've kind of got that crispy, wrinkly look, so we know that they're done. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab my spatula, and our pan's hot, so I'll be careful. So I'm gonna come under, and I'm gonna scoop, and it's okay if a little bit of the potato sticks. It's not the end of the world. We're just gonna come in, and we're gonna grab our tongs and flip it over, and you can see we've got some really nice color there.
Awesome.
So I'll flip my, look at you.
There.
You're such a good helper.
I try.
Oh my goodness. So I'll flip my half of the potatoes. It helps too, this is a fish spatula, so there's more flex to it. This is my, I actually got rid of all of my spatulas and just have this one type of spatula now.
Really?
Yeah.
Just fish.
Just fish.
Perfect. I love fish too.
Oh my gosh. Well, there we go. Next Valentine's Day, I'll teach you how to make fish.
All right.
Yeah, I think that's a good plan. So we're flipping our potatoes.
Flipping them.
And so now I'm going to make some slits in them, because we said that they're cheesy potatoes.
And there's no cheese.
And there's no cheese yet, so that's pretty lackluster. So I'm gonna hold my potato, because they might be hot, because they're still pretty new out of the oven.
Okay.
And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut one way, and then I'm gonna cut the flip way, just like that.
Okay.
And then I'm just gonna do that to all of mine. Now normally, like we said, you would just have 2 potatoes you're doing this for, but hey man, we're going big.
So do you want to cut them all the way through?
You can cut them all the way through if you want. This one's a little bit bigger, so it might be more desirable for the pieces, or you can go part way through. It's kind of personal preference, so don't feel embarrassed if you make a oopsie and go all the way through. Because I kind of feel like it gives you more surface area for more ooey gooiness.
Perfect.
So I've got mine, and you may cut yours.
All right.
If you think your fingers are brave, you can touch them, but I think it's a little warm personally.
We'll play the safe route.
Yep.
We'll just
You won't get a
use the
boo-boo.
tongs. Yep.
So now that we
All
have
right.
them all slit,
All right.
what we're gonna do is, and I have a knife for you as well.
Oh.
You can grab some butter, and what you're gonna
Okay.
do is just put some butter kind of all over the nooks and crannies, and this is gonna kind of act as a glue for ourselves
Okay.
to help our cheese stick on. So you're gonna wanna get it down into those slits as well. And it's just kind of like you're buttering a piece of toast. There's no specific measurement. And if you're a big fan of butter, you can go big with your butter. Or if you are watching your figure, you can decide how much butter you want to use. But you do want something in there. So if you, for some reason, are avoiding butter and you need to go with a different way, you could do more of that olive oil as well.
Okay. All right.
Okie doke.
I missed a crevice.
That's all right. I won't judge you
Thank
openly.
you. Openly. All right.
Openly.
Well, as long as it's behind my back.
So the last part is we're going to add some cheese to the top of our potatoes.
Okay.
So all we need to do is basically sprinkle some on the top, and we
Sure.
want some to fall into those cracks. And just like with the butter, you can decide if you want it to be a lot of cheese or a little bit of cheese. It's your choice. I'm personally a fan of cheese, so I'm probably gonna go cheese heavy on mine.
I also enjoy cheese.
Oh,
so
good. So
we'll probably
this was a good recipe selection when it came to deciding what to teach you how to make today.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I like cheese more than you because mine are like coated. But that's all right. It's all personal preference. All right. That looks fantastic.
Perfect.
So
Oop,
now,
a little bit more there.
see, you
You're right.
have cheese remorse.
I have cheese remorse. All right. I'm good now, I think.
All right, so I have our oven still set to cook. So what we're gonna do is pop these in for a few minutes. We'll let the cheese melt, and then that's it. Then we just have to pop them off the pan and put them on a plate.
Nice.
So let's melt that cheese and get ready for our next recipe. So it's time for our main dish. And the thing is, it's the star of the show, but probably the easiest recipe.
Oh, awesome.
So that it's gonna seem really fancy when we're all said and done, but it's ridiculously simple.
Perfect.
So we're gonna make this in a crock pot, and we're gonna use a Crockpot liner. And have you seen these before?
I have not seen those
This
before.
is like the lazy chef's best friend. So it just looks like a big plastic bag, but
It does.
it's Crockpot safe. So you just open it up, and then we'll nestle it in. It doesn't even have to be perfectly flat on the bottom because any liquid you put in there is gonna smush it.
Sure.
So we'll shift that to the side, and you're gonna make our fancy barbecue sauce.
Oh, all right.
So we're gonna start with 10 ounces of barbecue sauce that we bought at the store.
Wow. All right.
So there you go.
Is that it? Barbecue sauce?
That's
It's
what makes it fancy.
Is
It's
that you
not
bought it at the
directly
store?
from the bottle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I have to put it in the measuring cup, and then it's fancy.
And
I
then
got it.
It's perfect.
All right.
So you can dump it into the bowl.
All right, dumping.
Good job.
Thanks.
And then we're gonna go for that whole pork chop and applesauce kind of vibe. It's kind of one of
Okay.
those classic things. So actually what we have is a bottle of hard cider, and we're just gonna dump that in, and we're gonna add another 12 ounces of hard cider.
Oh, okay.
And what's gonna happen is once that combines with the barbecue sauce, then you can whisk those two together.
Okay.
And what's nice is there's a little left in the bottle, so if you're nervous about the date with the lady, you can
have a little drink
have a little
beforehand.
drink beforehand.
All right.
So it's perfect.
So is there any technique I should be using to whisk? I mean,
So you're
spin
gonna
this
use
thing
your
around,
wrist, and you're
use my
gonna
wrist.
spin, and then you'll notice that it comes together.
It does.
Yeah, isn't that nice?
It does. Science.
Yeah. Is that emulsifying when you bring things together?
It is considered an emulsion now.
Okay, good job.
I think.
I don't know. I don't remember. It's been a while since middle school science.
All right.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our new combined mixture.
Do I need to continue stirring?
You
How?
can, you can probably take a break.
Oh, okay,
Okay,
thanks.
good job, good job. So then what you're gonna do is you're gonna pour half of it into our crock pot.
Okay. Just an approximate half?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be too scientific. We have it
Okay.
emulsified already.
Okay, perfect.
So now, after you get half of it in there, we're gonna add our pork tenderloin. Now, I grew
Alright.
up in a house where leftovers were key. You do not need 2 pork tenderloins for a date with one person unless
Oh.
you each want your own. Because this is looking
Sure.
like about 2 pounds of pork here. But what it's gonna do is it's gonna give you some leftovers. So if you're gonna take all this time and energy and make your own barbecue sauce,
Yes.
you don't want to put just one piece of meat in there.
Fair enough.
I'm going to put the 2 in there, and then now that my hands are icky, I'll let you pour the rest of the barbecue
Okay.
sauce over the top. And you can just kind of drizzle it over the pieces, and it's gonna cover it up really nicely.
Perfect.
And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna put our crock pot into our crock pot liner. See, you're even cleaning your kitchen.
Yeah.
You are a catch, my friend. So then what we're gonna do is we're gonna put the crock pot into the crock pot liner.
Okay.
We're gonna put it on high, and it'll take 4 or 5 hours depending on how strong your crock pot is.
Sure.
So we'll check back in on that in just a little bit. So through the magic of TV, we've cooked our pork for 4 or 5 hours in our crock pot, and I've already taken the liberty of slicing one up, and you can see it really falls apart. It's really tender, and it's nice. We have barbecue sauce in here, so when you serve it up on that plate, you can pour the barbecue sauce over the top, or this is an easy recipe where you can make it as like a barbecue sandwich on a bun.
Oh,
that
sure.
you could do too. So basically the easiest way to go about it is just hold it with your tongs and slice through it with your knife.
Okay.
So I trust you.
Ooh,
you
I'm
were
trusted,
so
yes.
great at slicing through that bread
All right.
that I have faith in you that you can do this. See, look at it's just
Oh, look at that.
nice and tender and juicy.
Just
Falls
falling
off the
apart.
bone. So I think really, Tony, the magic of this coming together is that you actually met my brother first. And so
I did.
And that's kind of a friendship. When did you meet each other?
Way back in the 3rd grade in Mr. Destros's class.
Oh, over at good old Pinecrest.
Oh, yeah. Good old Pinecrest.
Yeah. So you've pretty much been a staple at the Bramer household almost our entire lives.
I guess so. Actually, let's do this.
Oh, look at you. See, you're learning all kinds of
Oh.
tips and tricks.
I learned it from watching you, Sarah.
Now, like I said, obviously this is way too much pork for a date night, but because there's 2 of us, we wanted to make the most of it, so we made 2. And like I said, you'll have plenty of leftovers with this. So now in our crock pot, there's all different, these wonderful juices, and now that barbecue sauce. It's kind of a loose barbecue sauce. If you've ever had have you ever had a French dip sandwich
I
before?
have.
Yeah,
Okay,
where you
so
have
it's
that.
like an au jus. Oh.
My gosh, he knows his terms. So basically all we're gonna do is I've got a ladle in here, and I'm gonna come around, and what I wanna do is I want to, if there's any fat in there, avoid those pieces of fat. But now I'm just gonna come in and I'm gonna moisten up my pork with that barbecue sauce. And I'm just gonna drizzle it back and forth. And I usually put a couple spoonfuls across the top, and then I put another maybe like in a gravy boat, so if people really
Okay,
wanna get
sure.
saucy with it.
Ooh.
That's a good Valentine's pun. So if they want to get extra saucy with their pork, then they can add more to it.
Sure.
So I think with these 3 delicious items, let's plate them up and see what our romantic feast looks like.
All right.
So I think we've had a pretty successful day in the kitchen, and we've kept some secrets from the people watching at home. So our bread is out of the oven, and it looks delicious. It's got that golden brown crust. We have our potatoes plated, and we have our pork ready to go. Tony, I think any lady would be lucky to share this meal with you.
I would agree. It looks delicious,
So remember, the apron's optional.
but the flavor isn't.
So remember, the apron's optional.
But the flavor's not. That was not right.
Like, I've never heard it said like that.
He also looked at me right in the eye like, I'm wrong.
That was not